Hey y'all, today we are talking about what sold in my business for over $100 this year. The reason I really wanted to talk about this in today's video is that I recently decided to change my business model, which I talked a lot about on my podcast. I'll link that episode up on the screen in case you missed it. But I am doing everything in my power to prepare for this big change before I actually implement it. So I am doing a whole lot of research on Bolo brands that I'm unfamiliar with, and I'll talk more about that in the future. I'm also really assessing and analyzing my systems, which I'll also talk about soon. But today, what I wanted to do, which I think is a really helpful exercise for all of us, is to look over my sales data for the year and really focus on the sales that I would like to reproduce moving forward. So this includes both more bread and butter brands that are really easy to find, but styles by those brands that sell really well and for good money, or Bolo brands. So I'm not going to include every sale for over $100 today, but I did want to focus in on 22 that, again, I would like to replicate moving forward in my new business model. So we're going to start at what sold at exactly $100 and then move up from there. So first is a Bolo brand that I do come across at Crossroads and buy-sell trade stores sometimes. And some styles by this brand perform really, really well, and that is the Frankie Shop. I found this trench coat at a regular Goodwill for $30, which, you know, I know a lot of y'all commented on my last video of Goodbye Goodwill that my Goodwill's price things like a crazy high, and $30 at a Goodwill seems really high, and that's true, but sometimes we get inventory that is worth paying up for, and this was an example of that. I listed it at $140 and sold it for $100, which gave me a gross profit of about $50 in only 9 days. So I definitely want to sell more Frankie Shop moving forward. I did source a pair of Frankie Shop jeans that didn't sell for over $100 after sourcing this one, and so it's definitely style dependent. I definitely want to check comps on this brand moving forward and do more research on it, but it's definitely a really good brand to know and to keep an eye out for. Next is another brand that can easily sell for $100 or over if you get the right styles, and that is Black Halo. This was another Goodwill purchase, and it was their quintessential style, which is the Jackie O sheath dress, and it was in a really good size 14. It did have a flaw, would have sold for more if it didn't, but I got a Goodwill for $9.99. I listed it for, again, $139, and it sold for $100, and that gave me a gross profit of about $70, and it sold after only 18 days. So a really good flip that I was able to find fairly easily. I just actually photographed another Black Halo dress that I'm excited to get listed, and that will hopefully sell around the $100 range. Okay, this brand I actually rarely find. I would think I would find it more often being in the Portland area. I don't know, but it's definitely a California-based brand, and it's one of the most highly coveted brands, and that is Aviator Nation. It just has a really good sell-through rate, a really good average sales price, and if you're not familiar with it, definitely want to know. They focus more on loungewear, sweatpants, etc., and a lot of their stuff has rainbow print. This one in particular had a leopard print, which, now that I think about it, leopard print and animal print is really coming back. I don't know if that had to do with it, but I actually didn't think it was going to sell that well because of the style, and it actually sold really well. I listed it for $150 and it sold for $105 plus discounted shipping, which gave me a gross profit of about $81.98. I actually got this free from a friend, and it sold after only 4 days. So a really, really good performance on Aviator Nation, and definitely a brand I found it one time at Goodwill like 5 years ago, but I haven't found it since. So it's definitely something that I'm kind of on the top of my list of why haven't I found this yet recently, and I need to find it again. That and Magnolia Pearl, which isn't on this list because I've literally never found it. I don't know why I've never found it. Okay, next is a really good collab to know if you don't already know it, and that is The Great and Eddie Bauer. They had a limited release collaboration, and certain pieces by this collaboration can sell really, really well. I actually now own a rain jacket by this collaboration that my mom got me as an early Christmas present, which was really nice. But I'm obsessed with it. And yeah, the rain jackets especially I think can do really well. So this was one that I got at Crossroads. It was a really cute green floral rain jacket in a size extra large. I paid $10.80 in my converted cost of goods, and I listed it for $150, and again it sold for $105 with discounted shipping, which gave me a gross profit of $71.18, and it sold after only 6 days. So not all pieces by this collaboration are going to sell super well for $100, but there are a decent amount that do, and I think the collaboration's done. They had like at least 2 releases, but because of that, some of these certain pieces are just really rare and in high demand. Okay, next I wanted to include this on the list, not because I really think I'm gonna find it again, maybe I will, but it was a good example of me coming across a higher end brand that was damaged, but I still picked it up and it still worked out. So I actually got this at the bins, and it was an eBay sale. It was this Pierre Louise Maskia mixed print silk dress. It had a big hole in it, and yet it still sold really well. So I listed for $100. It sold full price for $100 plus shipping, and that gave me a gross profit of $86.63, and it only sold after 2 days. So maybe I could have even priced it higher. But yeah, if I ever find this brand again, I'll definitely pick it up. But it was a really great style, a beautiful dress, and this brand, this designer, I should say, retails around the $1,000 mark, this piece. So definitely, I guess, one to know. I don't know how often I'll come across it or will come across it in general, but it was a really unique sale, and maybe I would replicate this exact brand again, but I do want to replicate me picking up pieces that I think the design elements are unique and beautiful and special enough, and the designer is high enough retail. Even if it has flaws, I can still make a really decent sale. Next, just like I mentioned earlier, there are certain brands that are more bread and butter brands that I would like to do a whole lot more research into understanding what within these brands sells for $100 or more. And I can do content on that if you are interested. Let me know in the comments down below. But this brand, Lululemon, is one that I come across often. However, of course, not everything sells for around $100, but this piece did. And it was a scuba oversized short sleeve pullover sweatshirt. It, I think, is still available, or was at the time available on their website. It's a pretty rare style on the reseller marketplaces. I got it for $6.99, and I listed it for $100, and it sold full price for $100 plus shipping on eBay. And this gave me a gross profit of $71.36, and it sold after only 3 days. So I definitely want to do more research into what is selling at a really high price point within Lululemon, because of course buy-sell trade stores where I'm going to be sourcing primarily, they do pick up a lot of Lululemon. So it's good for me to know what's worth, not even bothering with, and what's worth spending money on. The next is The Great, which I already kind of mentioned their collaboration earlier, but it's a brand that I really love, and I want to just sell it more in the future, which is why I included it on this list. I love this piece. It was a floral puffer down vest, and a pretty rare style. There's not a lot on Poshmark or eBay. I got it for $12.45 at Crossroads. I listed it for $185, and I sold it within a bundle for $111, and it sold after only 16 days, and it gave me a gross profit of $74.85. So a really good flip. I loved selling this piece and just thought it was so cute, and I kind of wanted to keep it, but I made good money, so I'm not mad. Next is a brand that I love selling. It's one I pick up from Crossroads often, and I do need to do a bit of research just to understand more thoroughly what sells at a higher price point in this brand, and that is Reformation. I could definitely afford to do research, but I might just learn through trial and error, because even if it doesn't sell for around $100, Reformation just tends to sell really consistently for me. So I think I'll learn through just experience what is worth picking up because it sells for around 100 and what is worth passing on because it just sells for less. But anyways, this was actually one that I got at Goodwill. It was a plus size, really beautiful emerald green maxi dress, and I got it for $9.99. I had it listed for $165. It sold for $115, which gave me a gross profit of about $80, and it sold after only 19 days. So a really great pickup, and definitely a really good example of something that I'm going to hopefully be selling a lot of in the future. Another brand that I do come across at Crossroads from time to time is Christy Dawn. And when I picked this dress up, I wasn't sure if it was the best pickup because it was, I think, an older style. It was a size extra small. I was just a little bit nervous about it. But it actually performed really well. It's the linen dress in butterscotch, size extra small. I paid up for it, so even with my converted cost of goods, I paid $22.43, and I listed it for $170, and it sold for $119, which gave me a gross profit of $70.75, which is great. And it took 44 days to sell, so it didn't sell overnight like a lot of these did, but still, 44 days is great for me in terms of getting a $100 sale, and I was just really, really happy with this sale. It was a more recent one and definitely made me feel like Christy Dawn is still very much worth picking up and paying up for. Okay, again, like I said, a brand that I come across all the time, and I think we all do, and probably 99.9% of it is not going to sell for $100, but there are certain styles that will. That's Free People. And this was a really great find. I actually found it was probably from the same person with that Frankie Shop trench coat, and it was the Peace Out parachute parka. This is actually a style that's still on their website, and it retails, I think, for like over $300. I got mine at Goodwill for $14.99. I listed it for $200, and I received an offer for $120, which I accepted, which gave me a gross profit of about $81. And it sold it after only 9 days. So I probably maybe could have sold it for more, but still a really good flip, and something that definitely made me realize when you find something by Free People, for instance, that is just really substantial, really on trend, it can sell for really good money. So definitely don't write off any bread and butter brands that can retail for a lot of money, because brands like Free People, like Lululemon, like this next one, JCrew, their retail value can vary widely from style to style, and the demand for the items can vary widely from style to style. So just important to do your research, but also just kind of follow your intuition and gut. If you find something that's more substantial, check comps and look it up. And that brings me to this JCrew plaid blazer. That's 100% wool in a size 6. This goes against my typical advice of buying mainly newer style JCrew, but JCrew blazers, especially 100% wool ones, especially houndstooth ones, etc., can sell really well even if they're really old. I think this was from like 2014, 2017, something like that. But I was just really happy with the performance of this piece. I got it at Goodwill for $14.99. I listed it for $125, and it sold full price for $125, and that gave me a gross profit of about $85, and it sold after 69 days. So JCrew blazers, especially 100% wool ones, still worth picking up, even if they're older style, and they can sell really, really well. Not every JCrew blazer is going to sell for over $100, but they generally perform really well. And the cuter one, so this is like definitely has a lot of preppy academia kind of style, and has a lot of details like the gold buttons, etc. So the more style elements that the blazer has, I think the better it's going to sell. Okay, next is a brand that I love selling. I definitely want to pick up more of it at buy-sell trade stores, and that is Mother. This is one I didn't check comps on when I purchased it. I just went off of kind of gut, and I don't know if I should always do that, but it did end up paying off in this case, because this was a high-rise flare jean, and it was in excellent condition. It was the Melodrama high-waist flare. Got it at Crossroads for $16.75, and I listed it for $150. I received an offer for $127, which I accepted, which gave me a gross profit of about $85, and it sold after only 6 days. This next sale sold after 1 day, and I actually did find it at Goodwill. It's a really good example of a bread and butter brand that can sell sometimes for $100 or more, and that's Anthropology. This was a Pilcrow Sunset cardigan in a size 1X. I love selling plus size Anthropology, but this was an especially coveted style that's rare. I think sometimes it's useful to, if you just want to do a quick research, search, a brand Anthropology rare, and then change the price to $100 plus, and then look at sold comps, and then you can do this on eBay too, and that gives you a good idea of what is in demand and is rare. What are rare styles that are being searched for? Similarly, what you can do is look up this keyword ISO, which people use at least on Poshmark, which buyers will use on Poshmark when they're in search of something. So if you do Anthropology ISO, then you can look and see what are people actually looking for by this brand that they can't find on the resale market. And yeah, you can find styles that could potentially sell for $100 plus. Okay, so how this item performed is that I had it listed for $159 and it sold for $137.99 on eBay. So probably $130 plus shipping on eBay. And that gave me a gross profit of $88.33, and it sold again, like I said, after only one day. And then this next sale sold after 2 days, and it is Roth. And a lot of people have sworn off Rothies. Understandably, some styles aren't performing like they used to, but I find even those styles can sell for $40, $50 if they're in excellent condition. And so that's certainly nothing to scoff at. But then there are certain styles that are more rare that can sell for $100 plus. So this is an example of that. These are Rothy's The Driver, and this was a first edition white cream color. I've actually found these at Goodwill for $19.99, and I had them listed for $185, and they sold after 2 days for $148 plus discounted shipping, giving me a $96.39 gross profit. So definitely a really, really good sale. And I think I could definitely replicate this type of sale by finding Rothy's at a buy-sell trade store. So definitely something I'm going to keep an eye out for. And it's style dependent, but certain styles are selling for $100 plus. I wonder how the more recent styles by Rothy's, like the loafers, etc., are doing. I need to look that up, but if you know, let me know in the comments down below. Okay, next is a brand I love finding and selling, and that is Johnny Was. This was a beautiful blue embroidered kimono, which is a great style that sells well by this brand, and I got it at Goodwill for $7.99. I've sold several pieces by Johnny Was this year for $100 plus. So obviously not every single style by Johnny Was is going to sell for $100 plus, but larger styles, more substantial styles, styles that have more design elements like embroidery, etc., are going to typically perform better. So I listed this for $170 and it sold for $155.99 on eBay, and that gave me a gross of $123.73, which is great, and it sold after 30 days. So I was thrilled with finding that. It was one of my favorite finds from this year. Another really good find from this year was this Veronica Beard yellow plaid blazer. Definitely gave a lot of Clueless vibes, and I actually included that keyword in the title and description. Listed this for $265, but I received an offer for $155 plus shipping over on eBay, which I accepted, which gave me a gross profit of $116.97, and it took only 51 days to sell. So Veronica Beard, especially blazers by Veronica Beard, I'm definitely still pretty bullish about, especially ones that are cute. And they did recently change their brand tag. So I'll show you the new one up on the screen. And I actually haven't sold the new one, but definitely something to keep in mind. I think the older one can still perform well for certain styles by it, but if I find the new one, then I know, oh, this is a more recent style. So good to know. Next is another brand that is just performs so well still, and that is Doen. This is the Parker jacket. Basically, anytime I see Doen, I'm picking it up. And I paid up for this $33 with my converted cost of goods. So I think it was like 60 something. I listed it for $249 and sold it for $174 with discounted shipping, which gave me a gross profit of $104.16, and it sold after 27 days. So love that jacket, love Doen. Yeah, I just basically list it whenever I see it. Okay, another brand I really do love selling, but like I mentioned in my I was wrong about these brands video, I definitely am going to be way pickier with this brand moving forward, but there are certain styles within it that can easily sell for $100, and that's Patagonia. This was the Vosk, I think you pronounce it Vosk 3-in-1 parka coat. This is a perfect example of something that can sell for over $100 because it retails for like, what, $300, $400. So it makes a lot of sense to buy one in excellent condition on a place like eBay or Poshmark for consumers. And, you know, when I buy my next winter coat, I will want to buy it similarly like this. So I had it listed, I purchased it at a regular Goodwill for $29.99. I had it listed for $259 and sold it for $195, which is still, like I mentioned, a lot cheaper than buying it new, but it was in excellent condition. And that gave me a gross profit of $126 about, and it sold after only 3 days. So I really, really liked that sale, and definitely something that I'm going to try to sell more of moving forward. Okay, the same day that I found that Free People jacket and the Frankie Shop trench coat, I found this dress. So it's just a phenomenal trip to Goodwill that lives very fondly in my memory every time I go to Goodwill, which I guess I won't be going to very much in the future. But every time I have been going to Goodwill, I've been thinking, wow, I just want another trip like that. But I found this Max Mara dress, and I picked it up for $14.99. I had it listed for $250, and it sold for $205.99 over on eBay, which gave me a gross profit of $137.88, and it sold after only 12 days. So what a performance. Of course, actually, Max Mara is a really good example of a brand that retails for tons of money. But if you find like an old pair of Max Mara black pants, for example, it's not necessarily going to perform well. I feel like it's, I feel like that's something that we just need to admit. That type of piece, if I come across it at the bins, for example, I'll usually just send to the Real. But even if you go on the Real, look at Max Mara black pants, they don't sell that well. But there are certain styles, of course, by Max Mara that are going to perform really well because it retails for thousands of dollars. And this was one of them. But outerwear by Max Mara I would love to find and sell. 3 more to go. These were 3 of my best sales this year. Not the best sales, but they were good ones. Actually, number 1 is my best sale from this year. But anyway, this next one is one that I was very lucky to find at Goodwill, and it is an Arcteryx Bravo jacket. It's an older Arcteryx piece, but a very highly coveted one. And something that I want to do is do more research into Arcteryx, but Arcteryx is kind of a brand that if I find it, I'm going to pick it up. However, I do find that outerwear, so jackets, are going to be the best typically performing category by this brand. I got this at Goodwill for $24.99. I listed it for $290, and it sold for $235 plus shipping over on eBay, which gave me a gross profit of $163.47, and it sold after only 13 days. Okay, so my last 2 sales took a long time to sell, but they're just really great brands to know. Like, they're really important ones to know as a reseller, just in case you ever come across them. So the first is Talbot Runoff. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Talbot Runhof. And this was a sequin off-the-shoulder gown. It was new without tags that I got through liquidation. And I had it listed for $900 and received an offer for $450. I'd had it for quite a while, so I went ahead and accepted it. It gave me a gross profit of $354. It sold after 560 days, but I've sold quite a few gowns by this brand, and they can sell for really, really good money. So it's definitely really, I think, useful to know the brand just in case you ever do come across it. And then the last one is probably one of the highest ASP brands on the resale market, and that is Brunello Cinelli. Retails for thousands of dollars. This was a new tag houndstooth double-breasted blazer. I had it listed for $1,500. I received an offer for $900, which I went ahead and accepted, and that gave me a gross profit of $671.17. Took 800 days to sell, but that's fine. I'll wait 800 days for a $900 sale. I mean, I wouldn't actually like to do that again. I'd probably price it a little bit lower maybe. I think I just lowered the price on that. I had it priced too high. But anyway, Brunello Cinelli. I really, really, really want to find it and get it listed and sell it again this year. Thank y'all so much for watching. Let me know in the comments down below if you do this exercise of looking over your sales data, what are some sales that you've had that have a higher ASP that you want to replicate moving forward. But I hope this video has been helpful to y'all. I will see y'all in the next one. Okay, love y'all. Bye.